Good afternoon and welcome to the Etowah Carnegie Library Summer Reading Storytime. I'm Miss Courtney and today we're going to be reading Amelia Bedelia Bookworm by Herman Parish, published by HarperCollins. Please remember that after today's story time, the instructions for the craft will be posted. Amelia Bedelia Bookworm by Herman Parish. Hi, Mrs. Page, said Amelia Bedelia. How is the world's best librarian? Amelia Bedelia, said Mrs. Page. I'm so glad to see you. Do you have a favorite librarian? I give up, says Amelia Bedelia. Are you glad to see me? Of course I am, said Mrs. Page. I'm just a little frazzled today. What's wrong, said Amelia Bedelia. It's my boss, said Mrs. Page. The head librarian is stopping by, and when it comes to libraries and books, she knows it all. She sounds very smart, said Amelia Bedelia. Did she invent books? Almost, said Mrs. Page. She's been around forever. Don't worry, said Amelia Bedelia. She'll love your library. The children do. Thank you, said Mrs. Page. I just wish her visit could be special. How would you make the head librarian's visit special? I will help, said Amelia Bedelia. First, I must return some books. Mrs. Page was astonished. What have you done to the books? Remember, said Amelia Bedelia, you said these books needed jackets. So I made a jacket for each one. Have you ever seen a book with a kind of jacket like that? This book got a sweater, said Mrs. Page. Sure, said Amelia Bedelia. It's about the North Pole. It gets very cold there. Now I have seen everything. This is one book you can judge by its cover. Excuse me, said Mark. May I check this book out? Certainly, said Mrs. Page. Here is your book, Mark. Have you ever checked out books at the library? No? Well, come see us. We'd love to get you a book or two. Yippee! Said Amelia Bedelia. Free bookmarks for everyone. Bookmarks, said Mrs. Page. Who's giving out bookmarks? You are, said a girl. You gave that boy a bookmark. No, said Mrs. Page. I said, here is your book, Mark, because his name is Mark. Is your name Mark? Mine's not. My name is Danny, said Danny. Too bad, said the girl. If your name was Mark, you could have a bookmark. That's not fair, said Danny. Amelia Bedelia, said Mrs. Page. See what you've started? I'm very sorry, said Amelia Bedelia. Do you see the children up here? They're all saying, not fair. I want a bookmark. Mrs. Page got paper, scissors, and pens. Children, Amelia Bedelia will help you make your own bookmark. But what about Mark? Said Amelia Bedelia. Don't forget him, said Mrs. Page. Make him a bookmark too. Just be as quiet as you can. I want to hear a pin drop. Okay, said Amelia Bedelia. And she threw her pen on the floor. Click! How was that? Said Amelia Bedelia. Do you want to hear my pin drop again? Mrs. Page just shook her head and walked away. Do you throw your pens on the floor? Amelia Bedelia does. Amelia Bedelia got right to work and she drew a picture of Mark on his bookmark and she made each bookmark special. Next, said Amelia Bedelia, what's your name? My name is Ralph, the boy said, but I don't need a bookmark. I need help with a school project. What's it about? Said Amelia Bedelia. Dinosaurs, he said. You know, Tyrannosaurus, Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, said Amelia Bedelia. That's the one, said Ralph. It figures, says Amelia Bedelia, if your last name is Saurus, you are probably a dinosaur. Excuse me, said a little girl. I need some help too. I'm looking for a thesaurus. The thesaurus? Said Amelia Bedelia. What kind of dinosaur is that? I'm not sure, said the girl. Is Is a thesaurus a dinosaur? My teacher said I need to do a report. Is it a dinosaur? I don't know. Let's find out. Gee, said Amelia Bedelia, you are way too late. Every saurus died millions of years ago. What am I going to do now? Said the girl. Let's make a bookmark, said Amelia Bedelia. What's your name? My name is Lisa, she said. But I don't need a bookmark because Sam ate my book. Yikes, said Amelia Bedelia. Is Sam okay? Where is he? Oh, Sam is fine, said Lisa. Sam ate her book. Oh, boy. Lisa pointed out the window. Sam is cute, she said, but he chews up everything. Whew, said Amelia Bedelia. I was worried about Sam. I was worried too, said Lisa. Mrs. Page will be mad that her book got wrecked. I see, said Amelia Bedelia. Let's go and talk to her. Do you see Sam? Do you think he's cute? Mrs. Page, said Amelia Bedelia, Lisa has a book checked out. Mrs. Page looked it up. Here it is, How to Train Your Dog. That's the book, said Lisa. But Sam got it. Mrs. Page corrected Lisa. You mean Sam has it. Did he enjoy it? Sure did, said Amelia Bedelia. He devoured it. Wonderful, said Mrs. Page. We librarians love that. You do, said Amelia Bedelia. Oh, yes, said Mrs. Page, but it breaks my heart if a book is abused or lost. A missing book must be replaced. And of course, said Amelia Bedelia. Rules are rules, said Mrs. Page. You have to go buy the book. Right, said Amelia Bedelia. We have to go buy the book. You see, said Mrs. Page, lots of people depend on us, especially those who cannot visit the library. I mean, take our bookmobile. And an assistant interrupted her. Oh, Mrs. Page, the head librarian will be here in 20 minutes. Oh, goodness, said Mrs. Page, and she ran off to get ready. Lisa, said Amelia Bedelia, Mrs. Page told us what to do. We need to go buy the book, and we can take the bookmobile. May I come? Asked Lisa. Sure, said Amelia Bedelia. Just ask your mother. Here she comes, said Lisa. She was teaching an art class. Lisa's mom gave permission. May I ask a favor? Said Amelia Bedelia. These children may need help with bookmarks and reports. I'd be glad to help, Lisa's mom said. Thank you, said Amelia Bedelia. We'll be right back. I love this bookmobile, said Lisa. Me too, said Amelia Bedelia. Let's pretend we've checked all these books out just for ourselves. Oh, lucky us, said Lisa. So there they go in the bookmobile. Look down here. They took Sam too. It was nice of Mrs. Page to loan us the bookmobile, said Lisa. It was all her idea, said Amelia Bedelia. Stay here, Sam, and stay away from the books. I found the book, said Amelia Bedelia. Good work, said Lisa. Guess what I found? A thesaurus. Where? Right behind you, said Lisa. Run! Hide, said Amelia Bedelia. Lisa laughed. Come on back, she said. A thesaurus is not a dinosaur after all. Jeepers, said Amelia Bedelia. Look at all these words. I can find just the right one to use. And a man walked up to them. I'm the manager of the store. What is all this ruckus about? Ruckus? Said Amelia Bedelia. I like that word. Let's look it up. I would love to use it in a story. Ah, said the manager. Follow me. You are late. I am, said Amelia Bedelia. He led them straight to the children's section of the bookstore, and he said, I like your costume. I've never seen a storyteller who dresses like a housekeeper. Lisa laughed. Amelia Bedelia did not laugh. She didn't want to disappoint the manager of the children. Amelia Bedelia told a terrific story about a dinosaur attacking the library. Mrs. Page, the brave librarian, saved every book from being chomped. And all in all, it was quite a ruckus, said Amelia Bedelia. Have you ever seen a librarian fight off dinosaurs in the library? Looks really interesting. You are great, said the children. You are talented, said the manager. You are in trouble, said the police officer. What's wrong? Asked the manager. There must be some mistake. There sure is, said the officer. This lady took the bookmobile. I sure did, said Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Page told me to. So now what do you think is going to happen? She's in trouble with the police officer, but Miss Page told her to take the bookmobile. Don't worry, said the officer. They won't throw the book at you. Well, I hope not, said Amelia Bedelia. I just bought it. The officer smiled. I trust you will drive the bookmobile back to the library. They returned the bookmobile, and I wondered if Mrs. Page is upset. Why would she be upset? We bought the book. Mrs. Page was not smiling, and neither was the other woman standing beside her. I owe you an apology, said Amelia Bedelia. Sam had ruined a book, and you said go buy the book, so we borrowed the bookmobile to go buy the book. Oh dear, said Mrs. Page. What happened to our book? Were the pages torn or just dog-eared? You'll have to ask Sam, said Amelia Bedelia. He's still digesting it. Hey there, welcome back, said Lisa's mom. I know some other creatures who would like to say hello. Arrgh! I'm the word-eating thesaurus. If you need a better word, look inside me. Screech! I'm the flying pterodactyl, and I buzz every week. Munch! I am a giant prehistoric bookworm. If I had a nose, it would be in a book. Are you a bookworm? Do you keep your nose in a book? The woman who had not smiled was now laughing. You are all amazing, she said. I have been the head librarian for 20 years, but I have never seen children have so much fun with books. Lisa's mom helped everyone, said Amelia Bedelia. So you are the head librarian. I've heard all about you. You are the know-it-all who has been around forever. Oh my. Mrs. Page was about to faint. The woman laughed and said, well, I guess I am a dinosaur. Let's check, said Amelia Bedelia. Is your last name Saurus? No, she said, it's Kramer. I'm sorry, said Amelia Bedelia, you can't be a dinosaur. Whew, what a relief, said Mrs. Kramer. Is your last name Saurus? Are you a dinosaur? There's a big parade next week, said Mrs. Kramer. Would you all march for the library? Yippee! Hooray! All of the kids are excited. Have you been in a parade before? Were you excited? On the day of the parade, Amelia Bedelia stopped by the library. Amelia Bedelia, said Mrs. Page, I'm so glad to see you. Come see what Mark made for you. Amelia Bedelia looked up at the ceiling. Is that a mobile? She asked. Do you see the bookmobile with Amelia Bedelia driving? Is that a bookmobile? Said Mrs. Page. How sweet, said Amelia Bedelia. Just remember, said Mrs. Page, you can borrow the books, not the bookmobile. And they laughed. Then they went out together to watch the parade. What's your favorite part of a parade? The end. Thank you so much for joining me today for our story time. I hope that you'll join me again next time. Bye!